Time, folks. Welcome in. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. He's Big Joe Dubin. I'm Chase McCabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. What a night it was last night at Bridgestone Arena. Unbelievable evening for the Nashville Predators. Down 4-1 at one point. Final score, Nashville 5, Vegas 4, the overtime winner. The streak continues. Unbelievable comeback win. And, Joe, I think you had the tweet of the night. I see, everybody's Twitter feed's blowing up because of
what's up, man?
The game. What's up? And I just see from you, oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord.
Well, I got to tell you last night, for those that didn't watch on TV, I'm driving around, and let me tell you what, Pete Weber, that was fantastic. Listen to Pete Weber call the game last night. It was fantastic. Preds down 4-1, 4-2, and he keeps, what was the goal that they challenged, Vegas challenged?
Yeah, the offsides goal, with Forsberg.
Okay,
his 40th of the year.
So Pete was beautiful with this. Pete just let the drama build. They didn't go on and say that's good, that's bad. You hear the crowd. They play Let It Be, I guess, on the PA.
Yeah, they do that on reviews, which is awesome.
So it was fantastic. So Pete just let it build, and then the referee came out and said it's a good goal. Crowd goes crazy. They win last night. Pete Weber last night was a master in sports broadcasting play-by-play. It was fantastic.
Well, he's done this a time or two.
He has. It was great, man.
What's going to be cool about this is we have a loaded show today. Ryan O'Reilly is going to join us at 9:15. They are about to head to Phoenix for their next game, but he's going to join us before they get on the plane. So we need to come up with a message that he needs to take to the rest of his team when he gets on the plane.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay.
That from the Chase and Big Joe show, he can deliver.
Oh, God. Remember when I asked Roman Yossi tennis questions? That didn't go over well, so we'll
Well, you had the country wrong, so that was a problem.
So terrible.
Maybe
that was a catalyst.
Sweden, Switzerland.
Maybe Yossi went back and said, look, if we keep winning, we don't have to go on this bozo show. We'll be fine and do that. Maybe that's it.
You're right. John McClain going to join us as usual at 9:30.
Right.
10:30 in studio. Speaking of legendary play-by-play, who's also called some Preds games before, Eli Gold, going to join us.
Well, we shouldn't be here.
And I can just I'm just going to warn everybody right now. I'm going to ask him to tell me a Dale Earnhardt story.
Oh yeah,
because he's so long in NASCAR.
Oh, he was.
But do we have it? Are we ready? If you missed Pete Weber putting on his masterclass last night, this was the final call.
Holding coming out, being watched very closely by Theodore. They give the puck back now to Yossi, cutting in. He scores! Roman Yossi scores! And the Predators now are 18 games into an unbeaten streak. Oh my! 5-4 the final.
It's about time to cue up the Go Ape, everybody.
Yeah, right?
But I think we're in that point. But just awesome call. Willie had a tremendous call on TV. I was watching on TV. I had this. I was telling Dr. Crane this before the show. I had a lot to do yesterday, suit wise, right? And so I was doing different things, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to work late, and so I was in the office until 6:30, 7 o'clock, something like that. I'm not going to go to the game. I'm just going to watch.
Okay,
just going to watch it on TV. And when they started the comeback, I'm like, son of a gun. Like, why didn't I go to this game?
Well, it's weird. When they got down 3-0, I was like, because isn't that the thing? And now we've talked to all these hockey guys. If they're down 3-0, it's like, all right, time to come back.
Oh, yeah. A 3-goal lead is the most dangerous lead in
right?
hockey.
So I'm thinking, all right. And then, 4-1, 4-2, 4-3, and then back and hear Pete's call right there last night. So, I mean, this is the damnedest thing. I mean, it's 16-0-2. What's the NHL record for this?
It's pretty.
I believe it's like 28 or 35.
Yeah.
But was that like 1937 when there were 6 teams? I want to know what it's been like the last 25 years.
I'll look it up real quick.
Well, it's mid-'80s when Gretzky hit, and then mid-'80s and all that, because this is amazing. I mean, that's 16-0-2. They've not lost in regulation since that Dallas game. I mean, I don't have words to put it. I've never seen this in this town. Never.
I'll be the first to tell you. I texted Ricky last night. I'm like, I think this might be an L for the Preds tonight, because the way they opened the game and played Well, maybe it was the reverse jinx, Joe. Have you ever thought about that?
Dare you? Do
You know,
that?
but I mean, like, I think I'm not the only one that thought that.
Same here. I was
know?
like, when they got down 3-0, I was like, yeah, there's that comeback that everybody talks about, but it's so and here's how stupid I am. I'm thinking it's okay they lose tonight. They've played well. It's like when my son gets a D in class, he's got other A's. It's okay if you get a D. You've worked hard.
Yeah,
What's
that kind of rationalization.
Terrible mind thinking. Terrible last night. But anyway, now they go to Arizona and take that team that's always been a thorn in their side, and then Saturday to Colorado.
Yep. Oh, man. Eric in Cookville says, thanks so much for the tickets. The game was spectacular. We had several winners. That was the funny thing. We, for like 5 straight days, gave away tickets to that game. Yeah. So if you want tickets from us, send the check. No, I'm just kidding. Glad you had a good time.
Send the check.
Yeah. Glad you had a good time.
I got a car payment due.
But just an unbelievable atmosphere. I mean, so, and it's funny, I didn't even see Matt's text. He said, will you please play Pete Weber's radio call of the overtime goal last night? I didn't get to listen to it.
Do it again, Dr. Crane. Drop it whenever.
Holding coming out, being watched very closely by Theodore. They give the puck back now to Josi, cutting in. He scores! Roman Josi scores! And the Predators now are 18 games into an unbeaten streak. Oh, my. 5-4 the final.
Oh, my, indeed. It's 35 games, Big Joe. The Flyers did it.
What year?
I don't know the year, but Al says
1944. They got.
Does that call not give you guys goosebumps?
No,
I'm
it
just
does.
sitting here and just.
I'm just going to say this as the suit. I'm decreeing. I need to hear that like 25 more times throughout the day on this radio
Look,
station.
You got it.
You just whenever you just drop it whenever you want to.
1979, 1980, Joe, for the Flyers.
Okay, we'll give it to him. That's because you go back and look at Chase McCabe in 1888 to 1894 had 678 shutouts. Back then it was sports writers like, hey, Chase, did you pitch last week? You're like, yeah, I got 14 shutouts.
Right.
Oh, Chase had 14 shutouts last week. So I like the ones now where it's like the modern era that we talk about so much. So good for them.
I'm gonna encourage something else too, because I did this on TV the other night.
Bathing?
All the U2 puns are welcome.
Oh, sure.
Like Kimberly just said on Twitter, they are making every day a beautiful day. Okay,
They
done.
are.
Like I said, this has been an awesome streak, but they still haven't found what they've been looking for.
Oh, my God. Well, I'll tell you right now, they're playing with a lot of desire.
They're going where the streets have no name.
Oh, man. And they're playing in God's country.
They are. Looking for the Joshua Tree. That's an album, but we'll go.
It's all right, though. And God's country was never hit the radio, but it's a fantastic song.
Joe, if you want the the latest point streak in the 2010s was 2013 with the Chicago Blackhawks with 24.
So they've surpassed that now.
No.
You said 13, right?
No, 24 is the
24.
record. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
in 2013. Excuse me.
My bad.
Sorry, I pay attention to Dr. Crane.
You both pay
Boss
attention.
man does. He's got 8 screens over there.
No, just one today.
Just
So
one.
thank you.
Oh, you do? Just okay.
Just
My
got
bad.
the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Trying
we
to
have,
limit the screen time.
So do we have Ryan O'Reilly?
Yes, the Factor will join us at 9:15.
Why do we call him the Factor?
O'Reilly Factor?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't like that.
No, but apparently it came with him from St. Louis.
Oh,
so.
okay. All right. Well, that's good then.
But I mean, like, I don't remember. And we've been we've been a major league sports town for 25 years with the Titans and the Preds. I mean, obviously that run to the Super Bowl by the Titans in 1999 was pretty spectacular, but it wasn't. The fan base was still building. It was still new. None of us knew how to act and what to do, and I mean, maybe we still don't. But can you remember a run like this in Nashville, where it's just like, holy cow?
Yes. 2008 Titans went 10-0.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it was like, all right, we've been here before. That's kind of
And look, 2017, in the playoffs and the run to the Cup, that obviously is still the number one. But
Sure.
like, I think what I mean by this is, and that was pretty unbelievable too. But you got to a point where you believe like this one is just like they canceled a concert. Like that's what it was.
It's one of the best stories ever.
They were playing like this is a book. Like they're gonna make a movie about that. That's like where you are with this of like they played like crap. The coach and the GM got pissed off and said, "You're going to play better." They canceled the concert. Then the team got pissed off, and they didn't lose again.
Well, because in this day and age, we haven't heard this story before. What team has done that?
Right.
I mean, a team goes 0-6 in the NFL. It's like, oh, you're not going to be able to do this. They're like, screw you. We'll do whatever we want to do. This has never been talked. Give me an instance where a professional team has canceled a trip and they've gone on this run. I don't think there is one. Is there? There's not one.
No.
That have done this, and they stepped in. This is stuff you see in travel ball with your 8-year-old team. Like, no ice cream because you guys got beat by the Cubs 4-2 and we've lost 10 straight. These are grown professional athletes. When the head coach and the GM came in and said, you're not going to go. This is about winning games, and you guys are playing like garbage right now.
Right.
And it's fantastic.
And it is Barry Trotz, after he won the Stanley Cup in Washington, told the story that Alex Ovechkin had missed a meeting, and so he scratched him for that night because the rule was if you miss the morning meeting, you don't play that night. Best player on the team. They lost the game, but he said, we don't win the Stanley Cup if I don't do that because it sets the tone. It sets the example that nobody's above the team. That's exactly what they did here. And we'll see what ends up happening. Ryan O'Reilly going to join us next. They get ready to head to Phoenix, continue this run 16-0-2 after the win last night at Bridgestone Arena. We'll talk to The Factor next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nyquist takes the puck out of the face-off circle, goes down, centers it, came right in front, and sent home by Ryan O'Reilly. O'Reilly gets the Predators on the board for a second time. They now trail by 2 with 14:08 to go.
That's part of the comeback. Last night, Pete Weber on the call. Predators win it 5-4 in overtime at Bridgestone Arena. Chase McKay, Big Joe Dubin with you on this Wednesday. Let's bring in Ryan O'Reilly, who joins us now. I believe he's probably on the way to the airport or already there as they get ready to hit the road. Ryan, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just on my way to the airport right now.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a good mood once you get on that plane. Last night was fantastic. I know that not ideal start for you guys, trailing 3-0, then eventually 4-1. But what were the conversations like during those intermissions, knowing that you got a full 60, you're going to get some extra time, as we would find out, but not to give up, because it's been a while since you guys have been behind like that.
Yeah, I was very impressed. I think the whole room was, positive. Everyone was kind of obviously disappointed, being down, but it wasn't like the game was over, or, guys kind of going rogue, or, the energy I think was still very good. And the way guys were talking, it was, hey, let's get back to us. These guys played last night, let's wear them down, and, we get one, we'll get back into this. And in between the second and third, it was just, we obviously get a big goal there, and then they get one late in the second, which kind of, you think would take a little wind out of our sails, but even coach came in, was positive, just, hey, we're playing great, let's just stay on them here. Let's stay on. We get one, we'll make a game of it. And, that's what happened. We stuck with it. Got a big goal there that, got us closer. And then obviously you kind of feel kind of the momentum kind of heading our way. And then obviously, a big comeback there. It was good.
So when you guys get into overtime, you know that you have all the momentum on your side. What are you trying to create in overtime, and ultimately how did things get set up for Josi to be in position to make that play?
Yeah, well, for me, it's when you're on the ice with Josi and Forsberg, it's pretty much, get them the puck and get out of their way. I kind of feel like that's my my job with, how many, goals Phil scored in overtime, and Yost is obviously on fire and so dynamic. So, yeah, I pretty much try to just get some motion, get him the puck, and hopefully open a lane. And obviously a beautiful play by Yost. Great deception, but then, takes it wide and brings it back to the house with the power move was amazing. And just that feeling in the building. I haven't played a playoff game yet in Nashville, but I was going to say that's probably pretty darn close to how loud it was and the excitement, and, just having the fans just, that energy, that, the cheering, it was pretty cool to be a part of.
Talking to Ryan O'Reilly this morning on the Chase and Big Joe show. And Ryan, 16-0-2, last 18 games. Have you processed that yet? Because you're in the bubble, we're outside, we're loving it, the fans are loving it. But has it hit you guys yet? What you guys are doing?
I know it's funny. We're down 3-1 there. 4-1. You're kind of thinking maybe this is it. But, knowing our group and just how resilient we've been, it's crazy to keep extending it. And it's a crazy record, but it's funny, we don't really have the luxury of, with how tight this race is and trying to get into playoffs, you don't have the luxury of taking a night off. It's just, it's a big win. We feel great about it, but it's always on to the next. And, we're trying to prepare a game for playoffs and to get in there. So we know it's something special, and, it's, crazy what we've done, but again, we got to keep going. We got to keep building our game, because it's not going to get any easier.
Have you heard from friends, text messaging, or Ryan, what in the world is going on? I'm sure you've got messages like that, people outside of Nashville, man, what's going on in Nashville?
Oh yeah, plenty of people. It's great to hear, though. I think from the start of the year with, the new coaching staff, the new system, a lot of new faces, we come out of the gates, we struggle quite a bit, struggling to kind of grasp the system and kind of, be a team. And, I thought we've done an amazing job of working so hard, everyone, and, everyone, coaching staff, staying patient with us and keep teaching us. And then we finally, things start to click and we start to buy in, and it comes, and, we've turned into a good team, and I think we're on our way to being a great team. And it's just so fun. But yeah, definitely the friends and family are just like
yeah.
We're making some noise around the league right now, which is great to be a part of. I think we have. Nashville's, it's not the biggest market in the league, but we're sure putting ourselves on the map this year, and it's, we're just getting going.
It's not the biggest, Ron, but damn it, it's the best. I want to ask you, you said you haven't played in a playoff atmosphere here, obviously, because you haven't played for the Preds until made the playoffs, but tell me how loud it was last night and just the electricity when you guys started coming back 4-1, 4-2, 4-3. Could you feel that on the ice last night?
Oh yeah, it was. It was electric, and that's probably one of the loudest I've ever heard. A regular season game. In all my years, this is my 15th season in the league, and yeah, I don't think I've heard a home crowd like that ever in my time in the league. It had that playoff atmosphere, that the way of the intensity of the fans, and that last kind of TV timeout. You look around, everyone's on their feet. It was. It's something so cool. It was nice to kind of get a taste of what it's going to be like.
Ryan O'Reilly is with us here on the Chasing Big Joe show. You made us laugh last night when you mentioned playing with the Swedish Meatballs with Philip Forsberg and Gus Nyquist. Phil gets 40, you get 25, Gus gets 20. Pretty impressive what you three have been able to do together.
Yeah, gosh, these guys are making me look good. They're so much fun to play with, and Gus is such a smart player out there, reads the game so well, and so deceptive with his speed and little plays. And obviously Phil is just, he's a wizard out there. The stuff he does sometimes, you're like, what the heck was that? It's amazing just the way both of them play, and I feel like we work well together. We're even if we aren't scoring, I think we're playing hard to being hard to play against, and being tough against top lines, and then when you get the puck, it's go time. We have fun with it. So definitely, guys, I love playing with two guys that work so hard too, and it's been a good line, and we have to keep getting better and keep rolling.
You were brought in by Barry Trotz and Andrew Brunette because of your experience, and obviously winning the Cup with St. Louis and all the playoff experience that you have had. How have you used some of the experience that you had in 2019, the run that you guys went on, and things weren't going well in the beginning of the season? Have you applied some of that to now, some things that you remember? We'll see what the result is at the end of the year, but just some of the things you went through that season with that team, have you applied that to now?
Absolutely. I think, at different times, saying the right things, or the things that I think that are best to helping us become a better team. And so that's conversations with coaching staff, or just communicating with, guys on the bench of, being in uncomfortable situations and kind of more leaning into it. But I try to use that experience as much as I can. And, I think every team's different, and, every team's got to find their own way to have success. But, definitely being through that, I feel comfortable in, a lot of situations that I think, that's where I try to lead. I try to have confidence in them and try to be vocal and kind of try to pull guys along if, I see something that, guys struggling in a certain way. So it's, I try to use that experience.
Ryan, you're about to get on the plane. Do you have a whole row to yourself, or do you have to share it with somebody?
No, I play cards. It's me and Yost versus Evangelista Nyquist, and not going so well this year. Me and Yost have been struggling a bit at the card table, but we got a long flight here. We're kind of hoping we can maybe get a few bucks back, but no, it's we have some fun though playing.
Oh, that's good then.
Man, I've heard Yossi's pretty good though.
Oh yeah, he's smart. He's a smart guy, but Nyquist, he's pretty smart too. He gets in my head a little bit. It kind of frustrates me.
Please tell me it's not. Go ahead.
Don't tell me I said that. But,
What's the card game? Is it Uno? What is it?
It's I don't even know the name of it. It's a Swiss banking game, and it's crazy. It's like I couldn't even explain it to you. It's just like it's 10 different games in one. And next time you guys talk to Yost, ask him to break it down for you. It took me about 3 weeks to even understand it. and I'm still learning, but it's definitely a cool game. There's a lot of games within the game, and it's I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him to give you a thorough description of it.
Well, Ryan, good luck on that. Obviously, good luck on the road trip as well. Please pass along our congratulations and our good luck to the rest of the team when you get on the plane, and we will talk to you soon. It's been a fun ride, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Nice chatting with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Ryan O'Reilly joining us here on the Chasing Big Joe show. The win last night, 5-4 in overtime. His goal was huge.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be T-shirts. Factor in the Swedish meatballs. That's the line now. I mean, that's what he referred to Philip Forsberg and Gus Nyquist last night. This team's got some magic right now. There's no other way to put it.
And we're going to claim him as one of our best friends.
Yeah.
Nice chatting with you. Come on. Nobody says that.
We're
to
buddies
us.
now.
Right.
We're buddies. So I know that Willie's listening right now as he's on the plane. So please go tell Ryan that he's our best friend, and we appreciate it. So there you go. The Predators will be back at it tomorrow here as they go to Arizona. They're going to play in the small arena, so it should be a lot of fun. Coming up next, we shift gears. We go into football. John McClain from Houston will join us next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. There's a lot going on in sports. That's why you need ESPN Bet, the official sportsbook of ESPN and yours truly. ESPN Bet is the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. Sign up today, and new users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. ESPN Bet. Download today. What a play. All the games at the palm of your hand. Must be 21 years or older and in Tennessee. For problem gambling support, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Chase and Big Joe here on this Wednesday, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Appreciate Ryan O'Reilly for joining the show. Now we say hello to John McClain, who we talk to every Wednesday at 9:30. John, good morning. How are you?
Guys, I couldn't be better. I can't remember a time when there were more teams in Houston sports who had things going on. University of Houston, Sweet 16, fifth year in a row. The Rockets have been one of the two worst teams in the NBA the last 3 years. They won 9 in a row. They're 1.5 game behind Golden State in the play-in game. And the Astros started with the Yankees, 4 consecutive games to open the season. And when Nashville gets that first expansion team, fans up there will feel like we do before the start of each season. There's something special about opening day in baseball that the other sports can't reach. And then we have the Texans getting ready for the draft, coming off the league meetings and the rules changes. So very exciting times in Houston.
Well, you mentioned that we're obviously having some fun here in Nashville with the run the Predators are on, the hype around the Titans with what they've done in free agency and getting ready for the draft. Can you remember a time in your career, whether it's Houston or somewhere else, that, for seeing from afar of just a run by a team like Predators are on with an 18-game point streak and just the buzz around it right now?
I think it all started on the road, didn't it? Didn't
Oh,
they win
yeah.
5 in a row
Yeah.
on the road? That's amazing. Winning at home is one thing, but when you play as well as they have on the road and you start a streak like that on the road, it's pretty incredible. Titans got to make a lot of positive moves to keep up with the Predators, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and well, they're working on it right now with when it comes to free agency. I'll start with that. What do you think of the trade for L'Jarius Sneed and him going from Kansas City to Tennessee?
Well, first of all, they had the money. Rand Carthon went into free agency, I think, of around $80 million, and so he took advantage of it. I was looking the other day. It looks like he's got 6 sure starters new, not even counting the draft. Now, everybody's trying to wonder, will he take Joe Alt, the best offensive lineman in the draft? And I'm guessing he will, although I don't know, over a playmaking receiver. Receivers come in all rounds. It's like the Texans. Nico Collins was great last year. Tank Dell, great till he got hurt, both third-round picks. A lot of fans here said, the Texans got to have a receiver in the second round. No, they don't. I'm writing a column right now for HoustonTexans.com about why they do not need to do that. They need to get a defensive tackle and a cornerback in the second round. And what makes the draft so exciting is when you don't have to have something. And there'll also be a possibility, say, quarterbacks go the first 3, Marvin Harrison Jr. goes to Arizona, and then teams want to trade up for J.J. McCarthy. And there's a lot of talent early in the draft, no matter what the position is. So Carthon's going to have options, and that's more exciting for the fans and the media. And getting Sneed for what they did was almost like a steal. He should be arrested for theft because it's one thing to pay the money. He got the money. He's still not, I don't think, among the top 5 corners. And if you look at what he's done, and they knew they were probably going to keep Chris Jones. And I read a deep dive into the Chiefs, and they've been preparing to lose Sneed. So they've been drafting corners the last 2 years, hoping to have somebody ready for when he was traded or left in free agency. And I guess they got what they wanted, but it just seems like a very, very cheap price to pay for a guy who played as well as he did last year and is still young.
We're talking to John McClain this morning on the Chase and Big Joe show. And, John, it's funny. We see the runs from years past on defensive linemen, interior linemen, wide receivers. Now this big run on cornerbacks. I know the answer, but I want to hear from you. Why now the paying and the run on these cornerbacks in the National Football League at a level, John, we've never seen before?
If you go back to, what's the most important position? Quarterback. Who protects him? It was always the left tackle, the blind side. Right tackles are making more money, but the left tackles are still the most valuable. Okay, who catches the ball? Wide receivers. Well, the defensive ends were the highest paid linemen. Now, if you can get a tackle who can penetrate and get to the quarterback for the shortest path, up the middle, they become more valuable. Then cornerbacks got to cover those receivers, and then safeties, running backs, linebackers, they're not as important as they used to be. And I think the more emphasis you see on wide receivers, the more you're going to see on corners, but it's got to start up front with the linemen.
Exactly. Chase and I had a discussion last week, John, about have the Titans done enough to help out Will Levis? I say yes from an offensive standpoint. Of course, you can talk overall team. They still got things they need to do on defense. But offensive-wise, John, I mean, with Pollard and Ridley and they brought back NWI, have they, in your mind, done enough to help Will Levis going forward?
Well, I think they have. Cushenberry was a great addition, and I think they're going to – well, I think we'd all be surprised if they took a defensive player with their first pick. Even if they stay where they are, they trade down a little bit, because when you want to find out if you have a franchise quarterback, you got to give him the weapons that he can utilize. And you all hope injuries, of course, tell the tale with so many teams. But right now, Pollard, I think, with Spears, Pollard's not a guy who's going to be the guy all the time. He needs to be a rotation like he was with Zeke Elliott when he rushed for over 5 yards a carry. Now, the best thing about Pollard, last year he was coming off a torn ACL, and so he didn't play as well. People thought, oh, well, he's not the same without Zeke. I can't tell you, in my 47 years covering the NFL, how many times I've seen it's the second year back from a torn ACL before you see a guy be all the way back. A lot of that is mental, and they don't know it. They just is. There are exceptions, of course, but by and large, that's the way it is, and that's why we expect Tony Pollard to be better with the Titans this year than he was with the Cowboys last year.
We're talking to John McClain from Houston, and when people look at what the Titans are doing right now around here, you know, obviously there's a lot of excitement because I call it they've taken some big swings when it comes to free agency and haven't even gotten to the draft yet. And a few people have referenced, well, look at what Houston did last year. Nobody thought they were going to be anything. Obviously, C.J. Stroud had everything to do with that. But do you feel like that there is kind of that sense maybe that – and maybe it's a false sense, maybe it's true, who knows – when it comes to the Titans, that they've done so much, they've revamped this roster, that maybe they're going to be a lot better than people think?
Well, I think the difference is people are starting to think they're going to be a lot better. And as far as the Texans, nobody had any idea what they were going to do. At least you've seen Will Levis in the NFL. He's been up, he's been down like most rookie quarterbacks are. I picked the Texans to win 6 games last year. When they started 0-2, losing to Baltimore and Indianapolis, I'm like, oh, man, I should have picked them to win 4, one more than the previous year. And then they got on a roll, and Stroud started playing better and better. And it was obvious they had a really good head coach in DeMeco Ryans who called the defenses, and Bobby Slowick, their offensive coordinator, in his first year as a play caller, he did a tremendous job. But they had a lot of guys step up and play better than they had. And on defense, it was because DeMeco Ryans, he doesn't just want defensive tackles. He has specific things he wants out of the left tackle, the right tackle, the left end, the right end. And he was able to get it out of them. It was like he put them in a better situation than they had been. And Brian Callahan, and we talk about this every week when I'm on, you can't overemphasize the value his dad is going to have on the offense. Not just the offensive line, but the offense, because it all starts up front. And when you can say you've got one of the best ever and that he can control so much, you know, if the running game is good and Levis is able to compete a high percentage, they're going to move the ball. So you're going to help the defense stay fresh. And that impact they're going to have as coaches on offense, and starting with Brian Callahan, of course, is going to be impactful. And so if they're going to be a surprise team like the Texans, nobody picked the Texans anything but last in the AFC South. Everybody picked Jacksonville to repeat. And when you play that first-place schedule, after you play the last-place schedule, it's huge. The Texans, I've seen the over-under at 9.5, and people are over here like, oh my God, what's wrong with them? And I said, well, they're playing 5 division champions, 11 games against teams with winning records, and a murderer's row of quarterbacks. That's what's wrong with them. And so the Titans are in a great position right now because they finished last. The division is better, and they're going to be one of the reasons the division is better. I think it's going to be, even though it's going to be tough to watch without Derrick Henry because he's made such a difference for the franchise, and people be excited to watch him in Baltimore. I know people up there are pumped. I've had so many of my friends text me and email me about how pumped they are. Some point you got to pump the brakes, and everybody's going to use Houston as an example, and maybe that's what it'll be. It all starts at quarterback.
We'll have more with John McClain coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, friends, Big Joe here. Look, listen to me for 1 second. I want you to say goodbye to all those high medical bills because when you use medical house calls, you do not have to worry about hidden fees or surprise charges. That's correct. Medical house calls is revolutionizing how patient care is getting done. Patients pay one flat fee no matter the treatment, making medical house calls more affordable than the average urgent care and emergency room. Just go to the website, medicalhousecalls.com, medicalhousecalls.com. So easy to use and navigate, and everything you need is right there for you. Also, we're kind of ending the cold and flu season, but you still can get tested and treated without leaving your home. Their mobile medical services are here to make your health a top priority. Again, visit medicalhousecalls.com, see what everybody's talking about. In fact, Chuck McDowell loved the treatment he received and the commitment and the care. He bought the company. That's right, medicalhousecalls.com, medicalhousecalls.com, where the nearest clinic is your home.
Some walk by night.
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game here on this Wednesday, continuing our conversation with John McClain down in Houston. John, the owners' meeting's going on in Orlando right now, and some rule changes coming out, including the kickoff rule. What's kind of your take on changing the kickoffs, at least for this year, and do you think it's going to work?
They put it in on a one-year experimental basis. When you do that, compared to if you put it in on a permanent basis, if you don't want it, it requires fewer votes. And so I think it's great. Now, coaches are all out looking at the XFL because that's what the XFL did. And I never paid any attention to the XFL or the USFL or any of those L's, and except the NFL, and of course, and I can't wait to see what they're going to come up with, because it's really weird to think if you kick the ball in or out of the end zone, because they said that that taking the fun out of the game, especially, I think it was Giants owner John Mara Jr. said Super Bowl starting off with a kick out of the end zone, there couldn't be anything less exciting. So you're going to open it up to more reverses, backward passes. You're going to see fewer collisions, and it's going to be weird to see only three guys, the kicker and the two returners, who can move before the ball is caught. And having two returners back there, I think we're going to see a lot. Instead of one charging up the field with the other blocking, they'll run toward each other and hand the ball off or fake a handoff to try to draw the cover team off to one direction. And I think it's going to be exciting, but as all rule changes are made, they're all to help the offense, all go against the defense. That's to get better field position. You know, everything when it comes to like the hip drop tackle, I'd never heard that term used till a year ago. And everything is done to increase scoring because they know the fans and the consumers love scoring. They don't want a pitcher's duel. You know, we want a high-scoring game, and scoring was down last year, and if they see something that they think needs to be changed, they'll do it. I think this rule, it's going to be very exciting. Some special team coaches will do a better job than others, which is usually the case, but it's going to be weird to see it for the first time.
I totally agree. John, this all talk around Caleb Williams, you know, a generational talent. You've covered football long enough. You know all this talk is just garbage. Are they setting this young man up for failure? Because how in the hell can he live up to everybody thinks about him right now? Because he hasn't played a down in the National Football League.
Well, how could Bryce Young last year? That's the way it is anytime a quarterback is taken first overall. Now, I watched a lot of Bryce Young's games at Alabama, and only because I thought the Texans were going to get him. And the only question, of course, was his size. You know, Caleb Williams is probably 6'1", but he was working with great offensive coaches, and he's going to a difficult place to throw the ball. But it's difficult to throw it in Buffalo. You got to have a quarterback in Buffalo that's got a strong arm. It's difficult to throw in New Jersey, and, of course, in New England. It can be done. And I know he will go to Chicago and be the first pick. They've tried to get weapons up there to put around him, but he's going to struggle because most rookies do. C.J. Stroud been an exception, but he had great coaching, and I'm not sure what kind of coaching Caleb Williams will have at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you kind of feel bad for the guy now because they're building him up to be the next big thing. You talk about that with quarterbacks, John, with Bryce Young. I mean, you well remember the Ryan Leaf debate in 1998 with Peyton Manning. I mean, to his success, if he goes to Chicago and you see what's going on, do you think he ends up in Chicago? You think they trade out of that? How do you think that
No, he's definitely going to Chicago. That's a done deal. And I think the Bears haven't had a prolific quarterback. This sounds weird, since Sid Luckman, who used to take the bus to the game and then go home on the train, and they just don't. People say, well, Jim McMahon. Jim McMahon was not a great quarterback.
Right.
He was a great winner. And They just don't have prolific passers there. And one of the reasons, just like Cleveland hadn't had a 4,000-yard passer since 1980. Bernie Kosar came close because their stadiums are on the water and they get wind, not just bad weather in the winter, but they get wind in September, and that wind can just be unbelievable. And so the quarterbacks, it doesn't have to have a strong arm like Buffalo, but, man, you got to be able to run the ball. That's why Cleveland always has a good running game, and Chicago better make sure it has one to take pressure off a rookie quarterback who's going to be under a lot of pressure. And he hasn't been helped by his daddy, trying to find an agent who can help him get out of the find something in the collective bargaining agreement that allows his son to pick his team. And now Deion's talking about that next year. Give me a break. And so Caleb Williams is going to be under the gun the entire time, first time he steps on the field. And that's the way it is when you're a quarterback picked high. Until right before the draft, the Colts had not decided to take Manning over Leaf in 98. Now, Bill Polian can say, oh, we knew all along we were going to take Manning. No, they didn't. I was there. I was there when he drafted. I was covering the NFL then, wrote a lot about it. And, of course, they made the right decision, and Leaf turned out to be the biggest bust in NFL history.
Yep, and I'm sure people might be thinking that Caleb Williams could be that too, so who knows. But, John, appreciate it as always. We'll talk next week.
Chase Dill, thank you guys very much, as always.
Absolutely. John McClain joining us from Houston, as he does every Wednesday at 9:30. We'll continue the discussion and get back into the Predators. Eli Gold going to join us at 10:30 in hour number 2 on the Chasing Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. over the music. Actually, can you do the game tying goal?
Golden Knights blocked it. Forsberg in front, off the chest of Patera. Now the shot to score! Nyquist ties it up! A power play goal! Oh my, it's 4-4. Holding coming out, being watched very closely by Theodore. They give the puck back now to Josi, cutting in. He scores! Roman Josi scores! And the Predators now are 18 games into an unbeaten streak. Oh my, 5-4 the final.
That's how it sounded last night right here on 102.5 The Game and the Nashville Predators Radio Network. That's right, you got to fight for your rights, party. And the Predators did just that last night. George Kittle in the building once again. I think he's got to come along for the ride now.
No, stay away. This is just for the team, man. This is the team.
No, I'm ruling George Kittle can be a part of it.
Stay away. We just is about the 20.
He's been there for the last 2 games that we know of.
You've been there the last 18 games of this streak. So
I wasn't there last night.
I take Chase McCabe over George Kittle on this little run.
DJ George Kittle on the ones. I want to get George Kittle on the show. If he's listening, he needs to call in.
Well, why don't you go get him?
615-737-1025.
Yeah, he could just call in and go get him. George Kittle.
It'd be awesome if he called in.
If he calls in like, hey, Kittle. And then he hangs up.
Do that.
And then he's gone with that.
Predators win 5-4 in overtime last night. Here's my favorite part, and we were already going to do this. People are texting in going, hey, can you play the Pete Weber call of the end of the game or the game-tying goal? Like they're requesting Pete Weber calls, and we're like, we got you. We're your all-request Pete Weber station.
Pete put on a master class in sports broadcasting last night. We talked about it in the first hour, but when they challenged the goal, and Pete just let the kind of the ambient noise build up a little bit and just said, here's the situation here. Didn't say it was a goal or not a goal, and then they ruled it was a goal, and it was just, anyway, Pete Weber was perfect. He's always perfect, but last night, with the excitement was going on, that was just a perfect called game by him.
Eli Gold going to join us in about 30 minutes. And Eli, of course, longtime Alabama broadcaster and also he was going to call the Nashville Cats games. He did call Predators games for a year as well. I saw the phone ring, and I was like, is this George Kittle? No, it's just Kenny the Mailman, but that's okay.
Hey, I can be George Kittle for the right price.
So we look forward to Eli and what's to come for the Predators. Kenny, what's up?
Good morning, dear friends.
What's up?
I cannot deliver George Kittle, but I got a piece of info for a dear Titan that lives on my route.
Okay.
Today is our buddy Tim Shaw's 40th birthday party, and it is time to celebrate and wish him a happy birthday. He's one of the finest guys I've ever met. He's one of the type people, when you meet him, he makes everybody around him better. I know y'all know he's been fighting ALS, but he seldom points toward himself. When my wife was going through cancer, it was Tim, not a lot of other people that would sit and write her. And when he writes letters, he writes with his eyes, and his computer prints it, and his family mails it. And she would get a letter on the day she was having her roughest treatment and this and that, and it meant so much to her. So I can't thank Tim Shaw enough. And check his YouTube videos out, because in one of them he's shaking hands with Kenny the Mailman.
Oh, my goodness.
Very nice.
So it is his 40th birthday party. He's a great man. Y'all have a good day.
All right,
you too, Kenny. Appreciate it. Happy birthday to Tim Shaw.
Absolutely.
For sure. He's just an awesome individual.
Yeah, he is. It's just it breaks your heart. I mean, what he's going through, it just
only
breaks your heart.
42. That's
and it does, man. And you just wish there was, could, find a cure today. But keep supporting and praying for him, and maybe one day they'll have a breakthrough. Hopefully,
yeah, I hope so for sure. Mm-hmm. But the Predators last night, just and you talk about the offsides review. Because I'm sitting there watching it, and what was cracking me up is Willie and Chris Mason. You can tell that they don't know either, and so they're trying to be careful of not to speculate one way or the other too much. My initial look at it, I was like, that's coming back. That's offsides. Like that's just the initial replay, and then they got the overhead angle where they're slowing it down and zooming in, and I'm going like, then it kind of became, I don't think they have enough.
Right.
Like, I think this is going to be too close to call, and they're not going to be able to overturn this.
Can you I think it's genius whether or not you think it was wrong or not to stop the momentum. Can you question every goal?
I mean,
is there a challenge flag?
You can challenge, but here's the thing, and the Predators were the beneficiary of this. If you challenge and you lose, then you get a penalty for delay of game, and that's what happened. So they challenged, they lost the challenge. Predators got a power play, and that's how Nyquist tied it up.
Okay. Because I think at some point in a momentum when you've lost the crowd and I would say we're going to challenge that goal.
Yeah,
just for spite and to calm down the crowd.
And I'll say this too: when it comes to review, when it comes to reviews in any sport, that you're going to have fans that, like, they're probably Vegas fans are going like, oh, they gave the Preds that one. If the answer truly, and I think they should be more transparent in this, but if the answer truly is, we can't tell. We don't have enough evidence to overturn this. I think that's an okay answer. I mean, like, if you truly, like, if some guy's sitting in New York or Toronto or wherever and they're looking at the replay and they got multiple people and they're going, I can't really tell. There's not a good look at it. I think that's an okay answer. You may not like it, but at least it's the honest answer. I would rather you do that than just go, I can't really. Let's just give it to him. Like, I would rather you just admit, like, yeah, I really don't know. Like, it's okay to say I don't know.
Yeah, don't they? Isn't that the thing? Like, not enough evidence to overturn it. Doesn't something do that? Who did the Preds have who sit in the video room?
Lawrence Filoni.
Yeah, and he was like 9 for 9 or some crazy stat about overturning when somebody was offsides.
Yeah, I mean, he's still there. He's up in he's a video coach. He's up in the room where Trotzy and everybody is.
So he wasn't like a Laviolette guy or a Hines guy?
No, he's been both. He's been here a long time.
What's his name?
Lawrence Filoni.
Lawrence Filoni. No baloney.
Law. Everybody calls him Law.
Law?
Law. Yeah. Lawrence.
Well, Lawrence has done a heck of a job for the Nashville Predators.
Yeah, he's been here a long time, done a tremendous job. But so that obviously, Riley had scored, cut it to 2, but Phil's goal, that offside review, that was where you just felt, even watching on TV, I just felt all the momentum shift to the Preds. And it was like, that was the moment where I go, they're about to come back and win this thing. Like, they're about to do this, aren't they? Like, and sure enough.
Well, I'm hearing from friends this morning, it's on the text line too, about there was a lot of Vegas fans in the crowd last night were running their mouth, and that it was great. Even made the win better to tell them to shush it and hit the road last night.
Let me say this.
Okay,
so obviously we went through this in Nashville when the Predators first got here. You have to establish a fan base. I get that. But since since Vegas went to the Cup final their first year and then they won the Cup last year, I do think there are some, not all, of their fans that I'm just like, come on, you've had a team for like 6 years. Like, just chill out. Like, congratulations. You won a Stanley Cup before a lot of teams that have been around for a long time. Good for you. But because the rules, I'm fine with it. With the amount that you got to pay for a expansion franchise, you should have success quickly.
Right.
It shouldn't be like it was in the 90s. So I have no issue with that. But it's just like there are some fans that it's just like, y'all act like you've had a team for 30 years. Like, just chill. Just chill out.
What if somebody lived in Vegas and they have a right to that?
Right, but I mean, I'm talking about like when you kind of have a – there's some that kind of have a,
entitlement.
There you go. That's I was trying to think of FCC compliant ways to put it, and you helped me with that.
You're welcome.
Well, you're a Titans fan.
Okay.
I'm going back to like 99, 2000, 2001. Was it not okay if you'd have a Titans?
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's okay to be a fan, but like, don't be so entitled. Is what I'm saying. Just be a fan.
Like, for example,
I am so lost on this.
Like, the Golden Knights have won a Stanley Cup.
Correct.
In a short amount of time that they've been in the league.
Yeah, they got a little help.
They expect this standard of, correct me if I'm wrong, Chase, a high standard of winning games. So with that being said, last night, they lose 5-4.
I think sometimes when success comes too quickly,
Titans 99.
They didn't win. When success comes too quickly, like so if the Titans had gone to the Super Bowl their first year of the Titans and then the next 2 or 3 years won it, then okay, they might be in this conversation. But I'm talking about when success comes at a quick pace, some of the fans, I'm saying some, not all, just get this high and mighty attitude that are like, yeah, we're the best team ever in the history of the whole entire National Hockey League.
Okay.
And it's just like, no, you're not. Shut up.
I will think the Titans, one of the worst things that happened to this franchise, and you can laugh at me, whatever, was that 99 season. Because it hit the expectation level of like, all right, every year we're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We haven't been back since.
Right.
So without winning that, it's kind of
and like in some ways, like that humbled our fan base. Because we did. Like I had that. I was a 6th grader, and I was like, they'll win it next year. Like,
should have.
And they should have.
Yeah.
I mean, that team in 2000 was the best team they've ever had.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like,
it was.
Better than 08, better than 99.
Yep.
Better than a few years ago that was the 1 seed. That's the best team they've ever had.
Unfortunately, Ray Lewis took their soul when he took that ball.
And unfortunately, they ran into the best team that Baltimore's ever had.
That's right. Yeah, it happened. But I see what you're saying there. But I think if you're a fan, be loud, be proud, and if you get beat, take what you're going to get from the other fan base. I mean, Vegas fans last night inside Bridgestone Arena. I mean, if you're loud and pompous at 4-1. Then take it when you get beat 5-4, and it's okay. Things happen that way. But I mean, you're never going to be able to with fan bases and say, calm down. It's never going to. I mean, I love it. That's why we like sports. We're so passionate about it. I'm passionate about you.
I'm passionate about you as well. Caleb and Gallatin on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. I've seen Vegas fans mad that it wasn't called back and saying the refs gave us the game because of it. But at the end of the day, they blew a 3-goal lead. They shouldn't have let us come back from that deficit anyway, so I feel no sympathy.
Yeah, and I just the refs are it's a fun argument, and they're like we could argue what happened to MTSU women on Sunday.
Sure.
And that, but
there are times referees suck. There are times that they blow it and they get it wrong. Then there are times like last night where it was close. They called it on the ice. It was a really close review.
Right.
They took forever to look at it, which I would rather them do that and try and get it right. And ultimately, my guess is decided that, hey, there's not enough evidence to overturn this, so we're going to stick with what we called on the ice.
I agree. I 100% agree.
And sometimes that goes your way, and sometimes that doesn't go your way.
You're right, buddy. 10:30, Eli Gold's going to join us. We'll do celebrity birthdays when we come back just because we're going to move it up a little bit. But first, Chase, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were just taking over. I was like,
wow.
What's happening here? All right, we're going to give something away, but you got to text in this answer. We have 2-day passes to Pilgrimage Music and Cultural Festival, which is in September 28th through 29th at the park at Harlansdale in Franklin. Artists performing include Dave Matthews Band, Hozier, Noah Kahn, Need to Breathe, and many, many more. But you must answer this question, and you must text it, 615-737-1025. Do not call. Text 615-737-1025. If you were listening to the show earlier, Ryan O'Reilly was our guest. Who is his card playing partner on the plane?
Very simple.
He said who it was. Who is his card playing partner on the plane? Text it in 615-737-1025.
And before we go, we'll be remiss if we don't mention this. A year ago today was the Covenant School shooting, and of course, our city, our hearts were broken, and so our thoughts and prayers with the Covenant School family, with the friends, with the kids that were there. I mean, everybody that's involved in that. Our heart still breaks a year later for that. So I know right now between like 10:10 and 10:27 this morning, there were a moment of silence for everyone. We just wanted a radio station that we will never forget what happened. We'll never forget those families, and they will be with us forever. And again, our heart still breaks forever for what happened on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And my mom's a teacher, and that was a tough day, just thinking from her perspective too, and all of that. But thoughts, prayers Prayers are a good thing, and hopefully all this goes away one day with violence and things like that. But thinking about everybody involved today, and observing a moment of silence for those that were lost at the Covenant School 1 year ago today. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game here on this Wednesday. He's Big Joe. I'm Chase McGabe, Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier.
Bring it up. Bring it up now. I heard the crescendo. Here we go.
Sing along with Big Joe. Okay. Are you done?
I am.
Okay, good. You feel better?
I feel a lot better.
Good. I'm glad. For sure. Eli Gold going to join us in a few minutes. By the way, if you're still texting, don't. We have winners. It blew up. It was Roman Josi. That is correct. Some of you went as far to say the whole group, but his actual partner, as he said in the interview, was Roman Josi. And if you missed that interview, you can go to thegamenashville.com or subscribe to the Chase and Big Joe podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, it's the rated number one podcast in my heart.
It is.
And that's all that matters.
It is, and it is a fantastic one. All right, Eli Gold's going to be in studio starting at 10:30 for the rest of the show. So we will do celebrity birthdays, and what day is it right now?
All right, today, gentlemen, we have National Celebrate an Exchange Day. So I guess exchange whatever. I don't know. That's weird.
Exchange hugs?
Yeah, you could do that. You could exchange shoes. I don't know, clothes.
I think if you order anything on Amazon, you can exchange it. They'll take it back from whatever.
Yeah, and you get your money back. That's kind of crazy. Let's see. National Little Red Wagon Day. You have a Little
Chase
Red
has
Wagon?
one. Yep.
I had
it takes
one.
all his alcohol around in it.
Okay.
That's how I just pull Ricky around in it.
Good
let's
Lord,
see.
you need a tractor for that.
Let's see here. National Spanish Paella Day. I've had paella.
paella.
Before.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Let's see. World Theater Day. We have that.
Chase has a lot of drama, so.
Okay. National Scribble Day.
He's true.
Scribble. That's a shout out to all the doctors.
There you go.
And Jerry Jones taking notes at the owners' meetings. Did you see that? Yeah. It's the best thing ever. Like, he just was drawing squiggly lines.
International Whiskey Day is today.
Oh, my God.
I love some
And
whiskey.
then the last two we have here is National Manatee Appreciation Day. Gotta love the manatees.
Yeah, you do.
And then National Joe Day.
Heck yeah, it is.
Joe and manatees go together. I
A
like
day
that.
to celebrate. Also, there's a manatee and a woman, a tea. So anyway, yeah, celebrate Joe Day. Do that. All right, time for celebrity birthdays. Chase yesterday
You were so stupid.
tied the record at 7. So proud of you. Although there's an asterisk beside it because you get double points if you get the birthday correct. My friend,
Oh, don't give me that crap.
my friend George said you need to start adding a point. So I said, all right, George, who listens every day. Thank you, George. All right, first birthday today.
Hold on a second.
He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. Quentin Tarantino. How old is Quentin Tarantino?
That's a good one.
Pulp Fiction's a
Yeah.
top 5 all-time movie for me.
67.
62.
61.
Oh, wow. That's-
Dr. Crane.
Okay. All right. I see.
That's practice.
That's fine.
because
No, whatever.
Mariah Carey. She is frozen until November. We unfollow her, and then she sings that song every day.
54.
59.
54 exactly.
Boom.
Chasers up 2-1. Love it. Keep going on. Actor Nathan Fillion. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He plays that TV show The Rookie. He's the actor on that.
I don't know, Jim. 37.
42.
53.
Okay.
Fergie. Yeah. Chase's London Bridge is falling down. Fergie. Uh, 3-1. She's still getting it done.
Damn right.
Let's see here. Let's keep going down here a little bit. Don't know that. Oh, we got some good people here. Actor Michael York. He was Austin Powers' boss. Remember?
Oh, yeah. He was Basil?
Yeah. He
Yeah.
was also in The Three Musketeers, which is a fantastic movie. Actor Michael York.
He's probably a little older now. I'm going to say 71.
He's got to be up there. I'm going to go 85.
82, Dr. Green, so
Oh.
close. Keyboard player Tony Banks of Genesis. He was also the man behind Mike and the Mechanics. Tony Banks.
73.
78.
74. Chaser's on a roll. He's up 4-1. Chase McCabe has gotten fantastic at this game.
He's
Thank
gotten
you.
good sleep the last couple of days.
My buddy Phil said I sucked on Monday, and so I just
Hey, jazz musician Dave Koz. If you don't know who Dave Koz is, it's because you're not in the know. He's a
It's
fantastic.
Kaz. You're not in the know, right?
Oh my goodness. Please go home.
Gladly.
Dave Koz.
64.
71.
He is 61 years old, and that's all we got. Chase, you win 4-1.
Thank you.
2-1 this week. Not bad, pal. That's Celebrity
Thank you
Birthdays
so
brought
much.
to you by possibly you.
That's together at cromwellmedia.com. Email us. you want to sponsor this fine segment and any others on the Chase.
We're not
and Big Joe
above
show.
groveling. Yeah,
no,
we'll
we
do
are
it.
not. Hey, look, it's work. We got a couple jumping on here soon, so we're looking forward to it.
We have, yep.
Yeah, we'll. In fact, on Thursdays we're going to start being somewhere. So
like
looking
it.
forward to that.
Yeah,
we'll
besides
tell
the
you
gutter.
about that. That's a tease.
It is.
Coming up next, the great Eli Gold going to join us in studio. Obviously, new voice of the Nashville Cats. We'll talk about that and many other things next on the Chase and Big Joe show here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, the game on this Wednesday. The Nashville Cats, we've been talking about them quite a bit as they're making their return, and we are very, very excited about our next guest. In studio with us, legendary voice, Eli Gold.
Hello.
Who is the voice, very well done, who is the voice of the Nashville Cats. Of course, you heard him in NASCAR, Alabama. He's done the AFL before, and, he did a year with the Nashville Predators as well.
Yes, sure did. Good to see you. I should say it's good. I've been on with you guys so many times over the years. It was easier on telephone. I didn't have to look at your faces. But no, it's great to be here, and I appreciate it. And I know things are going well for the station and for your show in particular, so congrats.
Well, thank you, and obviously things going well for the Predators. Pete Weber and Willie.
Finished last night too.
Oh, it was awesome.
Good Lord Almighty! Yeah, that was a great finish.
As someone that has done play-by-play, Pete obviously is a legend in his own right, and people have asked us all day, play the clip of the overtime. When you're in a moment like that, whether it's the end of a football game or end of a hockey game or whatever, you don't script that. It just it naturally happens.
Exactly. You can't script it. The only thing I will tell you, in a case of a football game, if there is a timeout preceding a big play, and that this is 3 seconds on the clock. If they score, they win. Whatever. I do have a moment to say to myself, look, don't screw this up.
Yeah.
Because this is going to live on in the archives forever. It'll be on ESPN radio. It'll be on the game. It'll be on everybody's, airwaves. But no, normally, in the case of Alabama, Tua to Devontae Smith against Georgia, Bama had just taken a sack, and everybody was, emotionally, we were lower than whale dung. And then the next thing you know, I cleaned that up for your benefit. Thank you very much.
Well done.
And in the next play, Bama wins the national championship. So, no, you have no time to script anything. You just open your mouth and pray that your experience brings something out that makes sense.
How much do you kind of look back and think about whether it's a race, a game, whatever, in some of those legendary, like you said, that those legendary calls that live forever?
I've been blessed. I really have. I really don't know of any that I blatantly screwed up. I don't, and I'm not saying that anything other than it's true. I've just been very, very lucky. You just I tell people I'm a professional describer.
Yeah.
All right. I'm a professional describer.
Right.
So if you just describe what you see, well, then you're okay. And then the thing is, what do you say to sum it all up? And in the case of when Bama played Texas for the national championship at the Rose Bowl Stadium back a number of years ago, we all realize that back in the 1920s, going back before a lot of people listening now or even alive, back in the 1920s, Southern football was nothing.
Right.
The power was on the West Coast. And then Alabama gets on the train, goes out to Pasadena, and wins. And then they do it again on the West Coast and win. And they bring back, some of that power with them. So Alabama has just defeated Texas for the national championship. And I wanted to tie it together somehow, and I had thought about it in the shower that morning. It's true. And ladies, close your eyes. But no, it's I thought about it in the shower that morning, just a general idea. And then come game time, as it turned out, Bama wins, and I said, and the roses in this grand old stadium are once again crimson.
Ooh.
Oh.
And, where does that come from? Who the heck knows? It just comes out of the crap that rattles around in my brain.
That's beautiful, though. Eli Golden studio with us. We'll talk about Nashville Cats in a moment, but my man Chase here is a huge Dale Earnhardt fan.
Right.
So I'm going to ask a question for him that he wanted to ask. I mean, I know you've got a plethora of Dale Earnhardt stories.
We worked together forever, yeah. Dale was a great, great guy, and my wife might have been his biggest fan, but in those days, I did 41 years with NASCAR, and that was right during his arrival and right through his passing. And he was a wonderful guy. He was the general public didn't know the real Dale Earnhardt, like the general public doesn't know the real Nick Saban.
Yeah.
There are people who have a persona as opposed to their real stuff. Dale was a great guy, cared about you so much. But, yeah, he was not afraid to rough it up on the racetrack and, put Terry Labonte in the wall at Bristol or whatever it might have been. But Dale was an absolute – he could feel the wind. This man could feel the wind when he was in a car. He knew what was going on all around him, and he could compensate. One of the most talented drivers in the history of the sport.
Is his legacy, had he lived, Eli, would he be as powerful as he is today? Because our memories make him seem larger than life when they usually are. But how would it factored out had he?
That's a good question. A lot of the legacy, unfortunately, came as a result of his passing away.
Right.
And that legacy being the improvement in safety features in the NASCAR race cars and the head and neck restraints and things of that nature. A lot of those, unfortunately, might have happened at a different time, at a different date, because somebody else lost their lives. But him being as big as he is, when Peter Jennings in those days leads the nightly news, or Tom Brokaw or whomever in those days leads the nightly news with a NASCAR stock car driver losing his life, you realize quite then how big he really was on a national basis. So I would expect he would still have won many a championship, and he would probably go down as the winningest driver if he had stayed healthy and, bypassing Richard Petty's numbers. But so much of his legacy has to do with the safety of the sport today.
Yeah, amazing. All right, you did Alabama football for how many years?
36.
All right, and so now you're at home and you get a phone call. Greg Pogue call you? How do you get this Nashville Cats job? Because I got to tell you, Eli, when Chase told me that they were hiring you, it just put like this amazing, this wonderful cherry on top of this great Nashville Cats pie with you.
Thank you.
How'd you get the job?
Actually, well, I had called him. I've known Pogie for years.
Right.
But I called him and said, hey, Alabama just cut me loose after 36 years. He said, why would they do that? I said, well, all they said is we've decided to go in a different direction. I said, whatever the heck that means. Well, in the span of literally 2 hours, he got with his ownership group. One of the ladies is an Alabama graduate, which
there you go.
didn't hurt, I'm sure. But within a couple of hours, they called back and said, "All right, let's do it." And then Greg sent me an email the next day or 2 days later, whatever, lining up. Well, here's what we can pay. It's a first-year operation again, and so on and so forth. And but here's what we can do. Here's what this, meal money, hotels, airfare, the whole bit. And I said, let's do it. And it was that quickly.
That's great.
And then Jacksonville State University in the state of Alabama, they won a bowl game last year. They're coached by Rich Rodriguez. They called me, and their athletic director, Greg Seitz, and he said, you have any plans yet? I said, no, unless you want to hire me. He said, you're hired. Literally. That's how that happened. So honest to goodness, within 2 to 3 hours of being cut loose by Alabama, I had 2 other jobs. And
that's great.
And they're wonderful people. And I say that not because I'm on the radio or I'm here in Nashville, but they are genuinely nice people at both locations, Jacksonville State and here with the Nashville Cats. And it's a wonderful opportunity. And, I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
He is the great Eli Gold in studio with us. We'll have more with him coming up next here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Chasing Big Joe here on this Wednesday, 102.5, 106.3, The Game, hanging out in studio with the great Eli Gold, as he is now the voice of the Nashville Cats. And I know you've done Cats games before. You've done AFL games before.
Back in the last incarnation, or probably 2 incarnations ago, TNN, which for whom I did NASCAR for a while, the Nashville Network, they had a Thursday night game of the week of the Arena Football. It was myself, Charles Davis, who's now on CBS. When Charles wasn't available, Ed Cunningham, the former offensive lineman, he was my color man. Sam Weich was one of my color men. And Jill Arrington was our sideline reporter. So, so I did Arena Football for a number of years on TNN. Then NBC got the rights, and they were kind enough to hire me, and I worked with John Riggins as my color man. Yeah, and we did those games. But, many times we would come into Bridgestone. It wasn't called that at the time. It had another name, but we'd come in here and do games here or catch the Cats on the road or whomever. We did games for everybody. But I loved the Arena Football League. It really is. It's the first game I ever did. We did a preseason game, not on the air. It was a dry run for everybody because none of us had ever done it. And I got off the air and I said, "Man, I got to find myself an oxygen tent.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to get myself a little breathing room here." So yes, it's been a lot of fun, and I've always enjoyed it. And now that it's coming back, and the Cats were always one of the most successful franchises.
Yeah.
Pat Sperduto was the coach. He had some.
We love Pat.
Yeah, some outstanding players on the roster in those days. So. When I heard that the Cats were coming back and this all timed out the way it did, I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. I'm getting from a lot of my friends want to know your recollection, and it wasn't a great moment in Alabama history, but the kick six that you're on the call.
The
Auburn,
kick
Alabama.
six was, it depends on how you phrase the question. I'm serious.
Yeah.
When people say, what was one of your favorite games? Well, that certainly was not a favorite game.
Right.
That game, heck, it sucked. I mean, it was awful. But one of your most memorable? Well, certainly that was one of the most memorable. I just called it as I saw it. This one nearly made the tackle, and then it was Vogler, our tight end, nearly made a tackle. And then I looked up and I said, and there's nobody back for Alabama. And touchdown Auburn. Well, now the interesting thing is, though, you wonder then you say to yourself, well, how did I do on that call? But we never played it back, of course. It was not a highlight on the Alabama Network. We did not even use it on the post-game show because it was still not a highlight for Alabama. Then I drove back to Birmingham from Auburn, and I deliberately didn't put on the radio and listen to all these post-game shows. I was pissed off, pardon my French.
It's all right.
And I get up the next morning early, and I had a flight to Las Vegas to do the NASCAR banquet. I was doing the broadcast of the NASCAR banquet that week. It was Sunday. I had a Tuesday talk show out there and other stuff. So I was dog tired, so I fell asleep. Wake up somewhere over Kansas or wherever the heck I woke up, and of course with available IP and internet on the airplane, I said, well, let's see if I can find the call. And somebody had assembled all of the calls from that play. There was Vern's call on CBS, the late Rod Bramlett doing the call for Auburn, and my call on the Alabama Network. And all three of our calls were ideal. They were perfect for our respective audiences. Rod had them going, 40-30. They're not going to stay. They're not going to keep them off the field, and yada. And Vern was, of course, calling it for the benefit of everybody from Maine to Maui and everywhere in between. and he was perfect, putting a caption on a picture, and I just, I called it and I said, now there's nobody back for Alabama, touchdown Auburn, and that was it. So all of our calls were memorable and correct, but it was not a it's kind of like going back to that Georgia-Alabama national championship game. People say, was that the greatest game you've ever seen? I'll say, no. I said, the game stunk. Alabama trailed all day. They couldn't do anything. Jalen Hurts couldn't move the team. This wasn't happening. The game stunk. Now, the finish.
Yeah, right.
Well, that was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Kind of like last night with the Predators. It was not a spectacular game, trailing all night to Las Vegas, and then next thing you know, you win in overtime. Well, the finish was great, but it was not a great game.
Fantastic.
Top to finish.
But how many times is that the case, though? I mean, that is the case a lot of times where it's like we recognize these iconic moments in sports. The game, like the Music City Miracle here.
Sure.
The game wasn't very good.
No. But
it was kind of a boring game. But the finish, that's what everybody talks about.
That's it. But, that is what everybody talks about. But that was a memorable day. Memorable. Favorite? No. Memorable? Yes.
Greatest NASCAR race you called?
Oh, brother. Whew. Goodness gracious. Well, from a selfish standpoint,
that's fine.
It was my first Daytona 500 because that, to me, legitimized my right to being there.
Yeah.
I said, if NASCAR and Motor Racing Network, if MRN was bringing me to do the Daytona 500, I must be decent at what I'm doing. So that was impressionable for me. As far as there have been so many. I couldn't even begin to pick one race. I mean, there were finishes at Darlington and Talladega. Dale Earnhardt, the pass in the grass with Bill Elliott and all of these guys who did stuff. I don't know.
But that's good, though, that you got so many. It's hard to pull from one.
The stories, I did write a book, and a lot of it was about NASCAR. It's just amazing the stuff I saw, and how nice the drivers were.
Yeah.
It was really, really wonderful.
What year was your first 500?
1977, I believe. They hired me in 75. It would be 78. They hired me in 75. They didn't use me at all that season. They used me in 76 for part of the schedule in 77. So 78, the Daytona 500 at 78 would be my first.
Was that one of Richards, or who won that one?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I can't.
Because 79 was the memorable one, the fight and everything.
Yes, Bobby and Donnie, and and Bobby Allison kept saying, he goes, I don't know. He said Cale Yarborough's fist kept hitting my chin, and he said, but it was. But yeah, there were some great races. But to say that which ones I really loved were the first wins for certain people.
Sure.
And the race otherwise might have been nondescript. But when Lenny Pond won at Talladega, when Phil Parsons won there, when Bobby Hillin got his first win, and it has nothing to do with friendships or anything, just, I knew what that meant to those guys.
Sure.
So those were some very memorable broadcasts for me. Of course, the one when the president was on with us, and
84,
and Ned Jarrett spoke with Ronald Reagan, and there have been so many very special, special broadcasts, and I had the pleasure of working with the great Barney Hall, who was the voice of NASCAR as far as I'll always be concerned. And I remember Barney, we were talking about. I don't know how the conversation came up, but we were talking about horse racing. We juxtaposed into somebody, one of the drivers must have been part owner of a horse or something, I forget. And And Barney says on the air, he says, I went to the horse track not too long ago. There was a horse there by the name of Eli Gold. I said, get out of here. He goes, yeah. He said he went off at 20-1, came back at 2:45.
1978, Cale Yarborough sat on the pole. Buddy Baker led the most laps.
Yes,
Bobby Allison won the race.
Yes, and Cale, he flipped in turn 4 in qualifying, if I'm not mistaken, that same year in the Hardee's car. So, or was that the Busch? Whatever. It was just
probably the Hardee's car.
Yeah, just some great memories. There sure were.
Fantastic. Thank you for doing this.
So much fun.
We think the world of you, and the Nashville Cats hit a home run.
You're very,
baseball
very
term,
kind.
but it doesn't matter. It applies here.
I'm looking forward to it, and hope everybody comes up and sees us at Municipal Auditorium. And if you see me sitting there in the stands, just come by and say hey.
Yeah,
love it.
We will for sure. He is the great Eli Gold. That is going to do it for us. Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace coming up next here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game.